Millions of online digital communications are being preserved to create a snapshot of Aotearoa's response to Covid-19. The National Library and the Alexander Turnbull Library collection includes online posts and donated material. Reporter Eva Corlett was taken behind the scenes to check it out.
Fan art for Ashley Bloomfield, quite a bit of that. Also a fair bit of fan art for the Prime Minister as well.
Valerie Love is a senior digital archivist, and she's giving us an insight into the mood of a nation during a crisis. There's a meme of a dog appearing to wrangle sheep via a Zoom meeting, daily cartoons depicting the shift and change of emotions as the world shuts down, tales of hardship posted to Facebook.
I think one of the things that really struck me was the fact that there was a lot of humor in the online materials and in the social media especially, where people were really looking for a bit of levity and a bit of a way to process a quite serious situation. And that, so there's a lot of joy in the collection as much as it is quite a serious topic. And there's also a lot of openness in the collection. There's a lot of people sharing feelings that maybe they wouldn't have expressed so publicly previously. People talking about how it feels to, be in lockdown when you're by yourself in a household, or, or the connections that they made with family members being suddenly in a small confined space with them for a longer period of time than they might have been otherwise. So there's lots of interesting stories that come through.
Blogs went through a resurgence too.
For the library, that was really exciting because it allowed us to bring in different voices into our collections that might not normally be part of the archival collections here. So with a lot of people who were using social media and who were blogging again, tended to be younger. They tended to be from different backgrounds. So it was really exciting to just see how many people were really interested in sharing their stories because they wanted to build connections. And where the library steps in is that we're able to help preserve those stories. So we have the infrastructure, we have the National Digital Heritage Archive that can ensure that those digital materials are preserved in perpetuity.
That inclusiveness is a major benefit of digital archiving, a bit of a change from the archiving of the past, often reserved for narratives by men or people in positions of power.
This is a World War I soldier's diary that talks about the influenza epidemic. Saturday, the 16th of November, 1918, there's a note here about someone dying in hospital of influenza.
A newspaper clipping from the 1918 influenza crisis, however, is eerily current.
It describes the symptoms of influenza and includes instructions not to congregate in ill-ventilated buildings and discusses household spread. So you can see that something like that is quite relevant to today's pandemic as well.
Valerie Love says the digital archive will give future generations the chance to learn from and connect with this moment.
This collection really shows, it really is sort of a sliver in time. So it shows how people were living during a unique, quite extraordinary experience, and also reflects some of the changes. So there's a lot of times where people would talk about what they would have been doing on any given day or where they would have been. And so that offers a really unique picture of what this year was like.
Up the road in a light-filled studio off Willis Street, I meet with artist Sam Orchard.
When we shifted from level 4 to level 3, I feel like that was the big thing that everyone talked about. There wasn't much difference between that shift. And so this was a comic about that. So it has me in my house, I still won't go anywhere. Me watching Tiger King, I'll still watch bad TV. Me drawing comics, I'll still draw comics all day long. But now I'll do it while sitting in a kiddie pool full of takeaways.
Sam's comics traverse the issues of lockdown in a diaristic manner. They bring levity and pathos to a stressful situation. But importantly, he also captures and reflects the struggles of being trans or queer during that time.
What I wanted with the Quarantine series was to kind of give a nice hug to other queer people who might be experiencing a hard time and say, oh, we're all here together. like a lot of the messages when we talk about that team of 5 million makes us all the same, but when those of us have some sort of differences, it's really important to kind of speak to that, to those smaller differences, and that's what I was trying to do with the Quarantine series.
His comics are now part of Aotearoa's historical canon, held in the library's digital archive.
So it's really cool to see them reaching out to marginalised groups and saying, actually, you're a really important part of New Zealand and your voice is important too, and to feel like we're valued and included is just, amazing.
So how does it feel to have his personal work preserved?
It's quite bizarre that it's like my small comics about like me excited about me being excited to eat junk food. It's kind of in the National Library. It's like, oh, this shouldn't really fit, but I'm kind of stoked that it does. And it kind of subverts the idea of what's allowed in libraries, which is cool.
You too could have your moments immortalised. The libraries are urging anyone who might have content of interest, from tweets and photos to cartoons and memes, to get in touch with them. E pōneke mō te hōtaka o te ahia hinei, ko Eva Corlett tēnei.